So I'm just going to check a couple of spots and make sure that we're on and moving through. So just give me a second here. And usually people will pop up. I'm going to open up the chat on here so we can see people talking. And there we go. Let's see this guy. He's kind of stuck. Check on a couple other spots.
Okay, it's static.
Do you stutter?
Well, I can understand you there. It seems to be okay.
I don't hear static on my end. Let's see. There's a couple of people popping on. Hey guys, just working through a couple technical things here, waiting for some people to pop on. So we've got this movement. This is exciting. Okay. And there we are. Perfect. Okay. Welcome everybody. I'm so excited to hear, and mostly I'm super excited that we get to talk with Armand. I don't know how to say your last name. Is it Machika?
Yeah, it's Machika.
Machika.
Yeah, and thanks for having me on here. It's really really honored to talk to you and have this interview. So
I'm super excited about it. You guys, anybody who knows, has worked with me or anything knows just how much I send love out to Armand and his teams, and all the things that he's been able to do for humanity have just been outstanding. He's I'm rocking your t-shirt. All you need is love. I'm gonna show everybody you need, and all you need is t-shirt. You can get those on the website.
they're not actually on the website anymore, but
well, they're not. Shoot, that's such a bummer. I love it. Gosh, what a amazing time we're going through, and no doubt that you and I have met at just the perfect time for what humanity is going through and what we're bringing, what missions we're on. Something I think a lot of people don't hear about are missions for humanity, or what is spiritual healing, and what does it mean to connect to the heart. Do people need to connect to the heart, and if so, why? And I have so many more questions, but I love how you're able to connect people. For me personally, I can speak for myself, how you've been able to have this unwavering you're steady, you're grounded, you're methodical, and your presence alone opens up the heart. And it's like I can feel my whole being drop into my physical body and everything open up. And it's just, I can go on because there's so much more, but I want people to understand a little bit more about what you do before I start saying the things that I see and have experienced. So let's talk about the heart.
Yeah, thanks for those really kind words. Yeah, do you need to open your heart? Well, for my path, I think actually where I was like a decade ago or more, actually, I'd hear people talking about the heart, and I'd hear people go, "Oh, the heart's all it's filled with love, and it's you feel connection," and then I would feel my heart. I wouldn't feel anything. It would just be like as hard as a rock, and it was hard for me to feel stuff in my chest and stuff like this. So I then began to explore and to just drop into. By this point, I was practiced, I suppose, in meditation, and I began this practice, which I did for like 6 years plus straight, and it's the only thing I did, which was to drop into my chest, bring my awareness down into my chest, and just sort of feel, hear, what can I feel, and just letting it be as it is, and not trying to judge what I'm feeling, and just allowing things to be as they are. And I did that for, like an hour a day for like 6 years straight, and that's all I did at this stage. And I knew, because I knew there was something for me important to it, that I needed to find out about it. And it was really like the questions for myself was like, how deep can I really go? How deep can I really go into my heart? How deep, how much love can I really feel? Because I wasn't feeling anything. I was like nothing. But yeah, as I started to really do this practice over a certain amount of time, there were openings, and I could feel so much pain, so much stuff just pouring out, and it was just years of just pain, actually, which it wasn't the love and everything I thought it would be. But with that became a centeredness, a groundedness. I learned a lot. It's such a simple practice of bringing my awareness down to my chest. Brought up a lot of fine awareness and sensitivity, energetic sensitivity awareness. So there were, activations and things that happened without me even trying. The deeper that I went, I could go into like, it just felt like I was going really deep. But I think I was sort of set up in this lifetime to go, to have perhaps easy access into the depths of my heart, and I began to access later on, which I call a spiritual heart, or what I call a God gate. But I think one of the most important things for me with the heart is because the heart connects into that intelligence, and it goes into a deep cosmic intelligence. The deeper you go, and if we allow this deeper cosmic intelligence to sort of unwind our being and let it heal, and it does its own transformation in itself using that intelligence of the heart. I call it like a cosmic fusion engine, because it's so vast and multidimensional, and there's so much to it. It's not just like a simple, airy, fluffy thing. It's incredible and very complex. But yeah. So one of the really cool things that I learned to do is I basically developed a form of communication through my heart in the very beginnings. And I knew in the very beginnings, it was like I knew if I could just get a clear yes or a clear no from the depths of my being, and straight to the quintessence, essence, God, source, whatever you want to call it, then I was like, oh, if I could just get that communication going through the heart, I mean, it's game over. That's what
the good stuff was.
Yeah. And so I did, and in the beginning it was extremely subtle, but in the beginning, like some people might already be aware of this, or this would be something to play around with, but I would ask Source through my heart, can you give me a yes response? And then a yes was like my heart just sort of opened slowly and gently. And then a no response would be like this energy would be pushing out my chest, but it would be like a block, and there'd be more of a contraction. And so that was the very basic yes or no. It's kind of like a binary thing, but you can go a long way with that depending how you ask a question. And then over time, as I kept on staying in my heart and going as deep as I can, and this developed into had more intricacies. It turned into a yes but, or I could get a yes maybe, and as the intuition builds, you can build like a telepathy through the heart, and then more higher sensory perception starts to come on. But yeah, that was, so that the heart for me was key. I mean, that's for me. I don't know if that's what will happen for everybody, but I found it to be extremely helpful. So yeah, I do think the heart has an important place. Any sort of path which brings you to the heart, which has some love, which makes you feel centered, is it's a good foundation.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful. I love how going into the heart, that this is where you took your yes and no. You know, this is something that I talk about with people as well, is to understand and know what your yes and no is. What does that feel like in your body? Do you get a pressure for a no? Like for me, when I started my yes and no's, I couldn't feel in my heart either. So I felt the pressure in my face. I could feel like a yes would felt like it opened my face, you know, like a almost like a smile, and a no felt like it closed things off and it like plugged my ears a little bit. It was really interesting. And until I was able to understand how to drop that into my body, move it through my heart, and it takes just intention, practice, intending it first and then practicing it. I think, but what I found most profound about your heart connectivity is that your heart is open when you're working with people, and you're able to connect into their hearts, and in, I think, the most unique way, connect them into, you're calling it the God gate, and I think that's an amazing explanation. I wouldn't know how to explain it anyway, but I know that when you took me through this, I saw like it was very emotional for me. Our first session together was very emotional for me because I could really see what I was clearing out. You were holding space in my light body, so in my spirit and in my soul, in ways that I've not had any facilitator be able to hold my light body. So things were able to open up, and I walked through these God gates, you know, this space in the heart. But it feels like it goes up, but it's like through the heart, and it just is like everything. And, you know, just being surrounded by colors and beings and this aspect of self that is so full of love. There's nothing else that exists in the space that you're able to take people to except for love. And it was so profound, and it's never gone away. I'll have you know, since the first time you've taken me there, it was like, oh my gosh, it's like you paved the way, and so there's no debate on where I'm going. I'm like, I'm opening my heart. Show me the God gate, you know. Let's do this. And it's so profound. And yes, David, you're right. It's an open channel. It's absolutely key. Let's see. Holly is making a comment for you. I like to see what people have to say and bring them into the conversation, because, you know, when we're talking, this is opening up people's hearts. This is helping people understand maybe a little piece that they might have needed. And Holly's saying, how interesting indeed. I'm also learning how to welcome in heart energies. I've just started working with the Emerald Key Crystal Temple energies. So incredibly potent heart openings. Love is the key. I'm not sure what those are. I know I work with the Emerald Order. A lot of solar rishi energies. It kind of feels like maybe that's perhaps what she's talking about. Some of these rishi energies that we've been, gosh, like just in the nick of time. Thank goodness they're here. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's the higher frequency emerald order energies, they are like I find like the deeper, higher frequency, it's kind of like the deeper in the heart it is. And I think it's interesting. I just want to touch on how, like you were saying, it opens up, and like for me, it opens part mostly. It begins horizontally, and I don't know if that's because like a masculine energy is like that horizontal which goes in, and then that the feminine's over, and you got that vertical connection line, the rod and the staff. It's interesting how that might be the case there, but
You know what I think that is, Armand, if you don't mind me interrupting? I find that when a biological embodied male and a biological embodied female with their herogamic union, so they're complete inside, I find that it would make sense when there's healing happening, that the biological female holds very strongly the vertical channel, holds very strongly that vertical, the staff, the staff, and the male healing energy comes in that way. So to me, it makes sense how it would activate differently. But I feel like if you weren't embodied, if you weren't complete, if that makes sense, then I might not be able to actually feel my own channel. Does that mean I wouldn't be able to feel my own embodiment? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I think when someone isn't as embodied, it's hard to really sit in the staff and then go down the staff and go down into the center point in the heart, where that staff and the staff, the vertical connection, and the rod, the horizontal connection meets.
Yes.
And that center point is that place of unity. It's that place of the heart and that hierogamic union. And that in that space is where you find things like the God Gate. Actually, it's that center point. And the God Gate is it's probably the most favorite part of one of the things to help someone go through. I like to say that everyone has access to the source, obviously, and to the God Gate. You don't need me to help you enter it, but I do love to help people enter it. And when I help people enter, it's like it does pave a way or a route directly to that gate, God Gate, which I just call that. Because sometimes in the journey, it's like we forget who we are. We believe we're really separate. And then it's energetically, we just don't know the way the way back. And when sometimes there are beings that are pretending to be God, and they make you look in over this direction when the God Gate is this direction, and they sort of just redirect you. But it's like when you can, like in my sessions, when I help someone go to the God Gate, I help them go straight to here and sort of brush off everything that's trying to distract you from connecting and experiencing that your pure experience of your God self, or that of what all that is, and experiencing that and going into that. And so it's the most it's hard to put into words how profound it is in that the God Gate. And I call it the deepest gate in existence, which is a big label, but I do like to call it that, because that's how I first entered it. I actually asked, like with my comms in the beginning, I was like, show me the deepest gate in the universe, or in existence actually, and then go straight to the big questions, right? So I just went in there, and then this is it's like this point which my sense of individuality just dissolves completely into this infinite vast infinity of oneness and love and bliss, and it's deeper than it feels deeper than many different things, and it's just incredible in that space. And yeah, it is interesting. I see sometimes if you look at some of the old school masters like Ramana Maharshi or Paramahansa Yogananda or some other beings, that the legit beings, not false gurus and twilight masters, but real legit beings, you'll see them in the God Gate. They're just chilling in the God Gate, and that's when I know someone is a legit teacher, I suppose, because you can access it and everyone can access it.
And that's
Yeah,
exactly where they are. They're not out here, or in
yeah,
these other areas.
yeah.
Over here, look at me, I can help you.
Yeah.
Oh
Well, they
my,
can go in and out the God Gate, and
yeah.
so,
Mm.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. So then I want to, there's something that you have been working on. And I had, uh, I, like, I was really excited to be able to witness this. I had the privilege to be able to witness your work when you were building, when you were building. And so when we say building, I like to say that we're architects. And some of us come here with certain prototyping to teach people how to become architects or builders. So this is just I think what you and I came here to do is to build, rebuild the ley lines, rebuild the structures, rebuild the bodies, show people and teach them how to build these things. And you have uh, worked really hard to get into this space that you're in, understand the body. And Alex is cracking me up. She wrote, I love it. Legit teachers chilling in the God Gate. I just had to say that because that was actually kind of funny. So you build something, um, not just for people and their own personal situations to help them, but also on the planet and within land structures, something called divine technology. And this was really fascinating when you said, hey, can you take a look and see what this, is this working? What does this look like? And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like, oh, you picked me. I'm so excited to be one of the witnesses. And this by far has been so profound for me. But can you share with our listeners what divine technology is and how did you see this?
Yeah, divine technology. I'm very honored to be able to bring this through. This came through because before I even found this, I discovered more about my soul essence, which we could touch more on if you want to. But once I had really connected with, I've got two actually, a primary and a secondary. But one of my ones, he's got a skill set of building, and he can build energetic structures, almost like technology, and very very high frequency architecture. And I was calling this God technology, because the blueprints or the architecture for this energetic structures, they are of the God worlds. And my definition of the God worlds is a bit different to some people. My definition of the God worlds, I know this is going a bit extreme, but it's 90D plus and onwards. But yeah, these blueprints are from those levels, and I was calling it divine technology. God technology, but then changed it to divine technology. Some people have a bit of an aversion to the word God. So then I began to like I needed something to help me like heal a wound or something like this, and I was just asked if I had like I first found out I could build, like I heard the word build and my ears sort of perked, and I realized that I could try to build something, and I was building energetically things like really quickly, which I think I hear from other people's accounts took a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, why did it build really quickly for me? But yeah, with this skill set, I then explored like things that I could build, like things that could heal a wound and or an emotional wound. And then, yeah, I mean, it worked. And then I began to explore like all the things I could build. And this led to a lot of different things. And there are
Mm-hmm.
probably over like 100 different types of things that I can build in people that support areas of healing, of support with technology, all that electric pollution can be auto-released, even, or we tend to, there's like a function in our light bodies where we tend to just absorb people's energy.
Mm-hmm.
It happens through a 2D center. And like I'd be in a cinema, and like my field, my field's more open than whatnot these days. But I'd sit in the cinema, watch a movie, and I'd come out, and it felt like I just took in everybody's stuff in the whole room. I was just like, whoa, there's got to be this can't, I can't like live like this. I need, I needed something for this. So yeah, I've got divine technology to basically auto release it, basically, so that I don't have to take on the weight of other people's emotions, or sorry, other people's stuff, and other people's projections towards me, or any type of thing. It's like finding ways to live here on Earth easily and
Mm-hmm.
without having to do like 3 hours of release work or anything like that.
Exactly.
I just have it set up, and then I can just live my purpose and do what I want to do and live the life I want to live. So it's a lot of the divine technology is around supporting you living here, and there's so many areas I could touch on that are as destructive and disharmonious to ourselves, externally and internally. And but yeah, eventually I reached a point where understanding that we are connected to the planet, and we are that micro version of the macro, which is the planet. I then could build externally, not just in my energy field, but I could build it in other people, and then I could build it into the planet itself, in the planetary grid. And mind you, I have access to this. I don't just sort of just play around in the field. So I do get access to build things in certain locations, and fortunately, I first built it we're in my home here, and when I was starting to really become more sensitive and more quote unquote awake, I would tune in to see and notice that there were so many beings with ill intentions that had, or destructive intentions, not just for me, but people in this area, designed to suppress people and on multiple dimensions. And I then needed some way to move them or to evict them and clear them out of the space so that I could just, feel connected and to live and have my own sovereign space. And so I built, so there's divine technology to teleport beings. So any kind of negative being, they just into space, they're gone.
Yep.
Just immediately. They're all all dimensions they're in. It doesn't matter where they are. Once this is built, they cannot come into the space. I'll build in an area. It will cover about a 10-kilometer radius, and or a 20-kilometer diameter. And any being in there that has negative intentions will get automatically teleported, or brought through. I know you experienced it. You were watching where they were going and stuff like that. But So the beings in the space were leaving, and they've never come back, basically.
That's exactly how it works. I evict beings. I do this stuff, and I code my shields and do all my stuff. But having the divine technology in there's two different ones. I'm working with a couple different of your architectures, which I'm just absolutely, I love them. Um, the one that was built around my area, the land in my home, to be able to like activate my home. I was doing work in my own home on somebody, and just doing my normal stuff, opening up. I open up the field, and sometimes you get a lot of feedback, or you have to kind of search for things in the different dimensions. Your technology, it's like the light was in every dimensional field that I'm able to access, which is quite a bit. And these beings, I mean, these were heavy hitters, and they were like frozen by the light. Like they couldn't, like it was like they were just like frozen by the light and then out of there, gone. And I was like, yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought, guys. I usually swear, but I'm going to try to keep it clean today. I was, oh my gosh, I thought, this is incredible. And I know it's going to work probably different with, how other people's architecture already is, or what they step into. Like, you're starting this at 90. A lot of people don't really know, haven't really gotten past the understanding that we're not just these dimensions, like a couple different dimensions. Some people are still really stuck on these on-body chakras and, focus on stuff like that. And, this is like really understanding the architecture of humans and understanding the architecture of humanity. Amy is saying, Armand, do you think that it's easier because you had previous architecture, and it's been, she's saying it's that way for me, but she's been able to repair more than like recreate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's maybe I have had this set up, and I do have that a skill set to build. And I guess you might have a skill set to repair or something like this. Yeah, it's like when you can do something like really quick and easily, it's like it's a good indicator of kind of like what you were to bring here, what you were to explore. And so I think I've definitely had the knowledge and skill set all within my essence, and yeah, each of our, I suppose, our essences, or what has the knowledge, the skill set, the libraries, the memories, deep inside of us, or inside of you, and just waiting to be tapped into and retrieved back and to be used when it's the right time.
So this wasn't like, this isn't like it's not new. This is something that was organic to you, and you were able to open it up and access it.
It was organic to me, as my essence. Yeah.
David is asking if your divine technology is like high frequency cymatic patterns, like fractals, harmonics, pure core love.
I think you might know better than me around this, Chastity.
Yeah, I love this. Great question. Great question, David. So, and David is very familiar with music and these kinds of patterns, so he sees in patterns as well. And I would say, yeah, it would. Well, I see in different ways. I can see from beings to patterns, sound waves, colors, all the different kinds of ways. So they can be seen in all different kinds of ways. So if organically to you would see in cymatics, then you would be able to see this technology in that way. you wouldn't see it as a being because it's not a being, but you would see it as a living being in the sense that the frequencies and the vibrations that are with it are alive, so they are moving. In that sense, you can feel God's source energy really surging and purging through them, and so in that sense, it would feel like a being. And sometimes what'll happen is sometimes your brain will want to make sense of it. So they might show a light being, like the essence or of some type of massive light being. However, your mind would need to put that together. But moreover, I see actual structures, like I don't know, like structures, like you're actually building something. My mind kind of like plays with me a little bit. So I don't know if anyone ever saw Fraggle Rock, but do you remember those little doozers? They were these little guys that built these little crystal structures under the ground. Like nobody even knows what they were doing. They were just down there building like crystal structures, I think. Anyway, it reminds me, like my brain will put it together like that, how like these structures sing and talk to each other, and they connect in, and then they do and it's not, I guess you could call it magic, but it's just how it works. It's just how it works. So opens up to different dimensions. Like you're able to build really quite far.
Yeah.
Into the dimensions.
Yeah, usually about all the main kind of weird stuff around the planet is like anything below 11D. We find the main stuff anyway, and so I build from there, and and then it has so there's ones to clear beings from the land, there's ones to, as you said, fill the place with light, to close harmful portals, to close fallen gates. Usually the darker the area, the darker the history, there are more fallen gates there.
I think we're going to need you to move to Washington State to get this cleaned up over
here. Yeah. It's been interesting, going around the planet and building this stuff. So especially around important spots like the gates around the planet, and but it's so nice. I'm a little bit of a everywhere I go, I like to make sure, or everywhere I go physically, I like to make sure the whole area is clear. And so if I'm going up north somewhere, I will build an area, build some divine technology and clear that area. Or I've usually been working in different areas around the planet that can make the biggest impact to sort of support the planet, because I think one of my realizations is to support and uplift as many people as possible on this planet is through the upliftment of the planet and having the planet switch on, basically. So in supporting that and supporting the people, it's been it's been a really cool journey building all this stuff to support that. So I think do
you think that with everything that's going on and the knowledge that you have, or that many other people have, is it our responsibility? Do we have the right to be able to build stuff? Do we always, this is a question I get all the time, do I need to ask permission to build this, or do I need to ask permission to help somebody? And moreover, I say yes, but with what's going on in terms of the planet, I say no, we're actually guardians of the planet. And so it is, if you know how to do it, then it becomes a responsibility, not just a right or something like that. It's actually a responsibility to take care of the planet. But I guess where I'm going with this, I'll just not beat around the bush. Like like look at all of the children that are being injured right now. Do we have the right or responsibility to help them? Like, can we build technology in children's bodies or in the bodies of humanity through the planet to help support them with what's happening?
Yeah, this is an interesting question. I would always, everyone has a unique path and journey, and so it is case by case for individuals. I would always check to, like, this is why it's so important to have that communication I was talking about, always to check to see what is in alignment to. And yeah, if it is in alignment, then by all means, and then you have permission. Yeah, amazing. You can go for that. In terms of building planetary divine technology out in areas and stuff like this, I don't have. Me and my partner have been really exploring this. We don't have access to, and when I do this, it's not just my 3D, my physical mind deciding things on its own. I have to very strategically listen to the teams because it is a group collaboration with many benevolent beings. It's not my own moves. So I'm usually collaborating, and I'll ask if it's alignment to build. Because for example, there are things placed into our energy field or light body that impact the way we think and the way we feel and they've been placed in there without our direct consent, and it's just essentially just thrown in there, and it serves the purposes of suppressing and mind control and limitation. And this has just been put on there. So there were ideas that me and my partner were thinking of. More, what about some divine technology to have that automatically dissolve all implants within people, and how cool would that be, to just really change the game of all this mind control that's going around the planet. But when we would ask, I would basically go up to what is like, we actually have an Earth Council here. Very important there in 12D. There's two. There's one in 90, one in 90, and there's two in 12D. I go ask Earth Council. I don't try to ask them. My energy goes there, and then they go. Then there's this whole discussion. There's this, and then they'll come to an answer, and then I'll get the answer. And most of the time, if it's involving interfering with other people's bodies and energy fields, it's a no. Like, I can't interfere with people, and it's always got to be through direct consent, because that the pathway is always with transparency when it comes to the heart, and clarity and transparency a lot of the time I'm finding. So as much as I would love to build stuff that changes everyone's energy fields, it does, but there are exceptions where it does really more directly impact people's energy fields, and usually that's when someone has a certain level of embodiment, like what some of us call an avatar self. Like when there's, I'm very precise here, but when there's about 7% or more embodiment of the avatar self, there's more higher communication going on from if someone's individual being to the higher aspects, and then it's like this group communication, and you can receive or be supported through the divine technology around the planet, and I think that's what you experience, Chastity.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for that. It's I've had people say to me like, "Oh, I'm sending you X, Y, or Z," or I can feel like people like pushing on my space that want to like look in. I'm really sensitive though too, and so or people will say, "Oh, I want to just go and help this person," or can you help heal this person? And I'm like, No, I can't. Sorry. I don't want to be an ass, but there are just some things. I love how you explained it. There are a lot of things that we want to do, and Mary was bringing up. She says, is there something that any tips for managing the dystopia we're living through? And one of them, obviously, is not to try to hold on a second. My computer is like for some reason not plugged in, and so like the battery is going to die. So I'm going to dip down for a minute so you can chat first.
Well, okay, what are some things that we can do in this time period? Well, first and foremost, don't avoid the basics. You just want to make sure that, yeah, you're getting enough sleep, you're drinking enough water, are you having heartfelt communication with some friends? Have the very basics down first before we start jumping into really stuff out there that we don't really know we're doing. Just stay grounded and stay, it's not a time to be heroic unless you only do, like for me, I'm very much, I would say almost use the word obedient to my heart and my guidance and alignment. What is alignment for me to do? What feels right? What is the most, brings the most openness to my heart? And so the foundations, if you've got that down, great. And yeah, do your practices which make you feel connected to whatever it is for you, God's source, your essence, and stay aligned as possible from within first. I mean, there's so much reason to be upset and angry, and he had every right to feel that way for what's going on around the planet. But we must also be able to bring ourselves back to center when we need to, and from the center place is the place to act from, not from the place of violence or aggressiveness or this kind of place that it doesn't bring the results that you really want to see. So yeah, that's some of the tips. I don't know. I'm sure you have a lot of tips there, Chastity.
No, mine are really kind of the same. Making sure that you have your own oxygen mask on before you help other people. It's if the ship is going down, then you have to. You're no good to anybody if you're not sound, and you're not strong and you're not rested. So just being right with self, and I say 0 point a lot, or being in the, but it really is about learning and feeling what your heart is and what your heart is capable of, because going inside and understanding how that feels, all of the safety measures everything is there, everything is inside, and you can be in the scariest of storms and the most dystopic world around you, but when you know the truth of who and what you are and what you're capable of, I feel like that's where the strength comes from. That's where that eternal knowingness, just knowing that no matter what happens, you're safe, you're provided for, and find comfort in that. Find comfort in like-minded people, just like you said. I don't really have much, to say different from you. It's hard to find more people that are like-minded. You can really see, that divide and separation. And I know there's planetary machinery, but also there's machinery in our own bodies that really has created this divide construct in humanity. And I don't know if it's being like activated more, or if we're just now finally seeing it, or we're hitting the point, as the planet moves through different different vibrations. If we're just seeing it more, I don't really know how to explain it, but making sure that this is out of your body first, then it seems that it doesn't disrupt everything around you, and you're able to then have your own oxygen mask to take care of yourself first, to be able to help those that are um, that don't know how to help themselves or don't know where to start, don't know how to go into the heart. So I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. There are a lot of things that directly affect the way we think and we feel, and yeah, this machinery. I like to call it the big umbrella word is negative form for me, and that negative form can be like 1,000 different things, and it's surprising to see like how when you find these things inside of you, you're like, whoa, how did this even get there? And I didn't give consent to this, and and it really explains the way why you would perceive things in a certain way, why certain troubles have maybe happened in your life, and it's revealing because you can see just how much how much you might have been manipulated. I could maybe say, it was a little bit like when I could see how much is in people's bodies and energy fields. It really made me wonder, like how much of people are really functioning from their own soul's impulse or God impulse or like their essence, and how much of them is operating off, um, you know, different types of negative form or victim software or implants and whatnot. But yeah, through the good thing is though, as this all of this stuff can be removed. It can be removed completely, all of it, and yeah, anything that is inorganic, that is not innate to you, can be shifted. And if you feel that and you're drawn to that, yeah, that's great. Explore gently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's another thing that you do, and I know that it's not not everybody is ready um, to explore this, but it's something called a universal stream. And I didn't realize when I got my universal stream, the way that I see this that you do, and this is on your website as well. So you show your universal stream and all that stuff. And it goes all the way up. It's going up to harmonic, and mine at least is going up to harmonic universe 6. So up to 18D. I'm able to see the different bodies of who I am or how I express myself or how I can express myself and how I bring these into alignment. And I know each of us have unique parts. Um, I, what can you say about um, how helpful it is for people when they're ready? Because knowing these kinds of things about yourself, sometimes the person's soul isn't ready, and so this is something. The way I'm understanding it is something you need to go in and ask permission for, and permission has not been granted sometimes, and that's okay. But what is the use or the purpose of somebody understanding what their universal stream is? How did you come up with that? Like, I'm impressed with that. I can't see that. I'm like, I don't know. I think there's like some planet thing over here, and I don't know. You look like orange, and you've got fins, or I can do that, and you're like, boom, you came from this star. Your essence is here, and I'm just like, wow, that's impressive.
I um, I think there was early material from a long time, over a decade ago, from Lisa Renee and another guy called Ryan Diron. They more so planted the seed in me or helped me become more aware of, I suppose, what my essence was already aware of. Was, yeah, we are multi-dimensional beings. And I then started to yeah, through some of the information they were sharing, I then began to understand that, oh yeah, okay, I have my physical suit here, but on another higher dimension, I also have I have many expressions of myself, let's say on a 4D level, um, but on a 4D level, there's like one main aspect. Um, and so, and then on a 5D level, I'll have many expressions of myself or aspects. And then there's like one main aspect on a 5D level. And there's like one main aspect for, and as you go up the dimensions, and when you feel for them or try to tune into them, they'll either be like on the left side or the right side. And then it starts to reveal this duality construct because we get into the time matrix, and they're like either this way or that way, and they yeah you I might feel like a 5D aspect like way out of my left, and I think it was someone's information I heard was like you got to bring them into center, and then but in order to really connect with them, you got to be aware of them. You got to be able to connect with them. And so I then began to find out, like, through the clarity of the communication I can get, where are they from, and what's their name, and then with their name, you can directly connect with them, and they can't sort of avoid it. When you have their name, you can talk to them directly, and bring them into center. And I just would find that when I would bring all my aspects into center, there was this level of, so like they all come into the middle, like I'll feel an aspect over here, it will just whomp into the center. And it would be, it would be this level of presence and clarity and alignment that is so integral to me that I didn't really know until I feel the contrast of what it was like to have aspects spread out and then aspects in the center. As my understanding developed, I realized that the ones on the left side were more oriented towards service to others or helping, more benevolent in nature, and the ones on the right are more service to self or kind of just doing their own thing. They might be brought up in a civilization where they're just taught how to wield a sword, and that's all they know, that's all they've been taught, and they might have no interest in helping you, but it's essentially you. So all these aspects are you experiencing life in a different time and space, but they're all very directly connected to you, and they affect the way you think and the way you feel as well. So at a certain point, and you're right, it's not for everyone, because it's more pertinent when you're a little bit later, when you're a little bit more embodied and in the journey. Although, because in initial stages for me, I was shifting things from childhood and wounds that went to, when I was 3, and then I'd heal stuff later on, where I'd be healing stuff from other lifetimes, and it will go back through all these lifetimes, and then it reached a stage where I was touching into wounds and pains from no longer just my earth lifetimes. This started to go up to another level, and it started to go into higher dimensional pain and wounds. So when it starts to get into these other levels, this is where it can become more pertinent, because you'll start to feel stuff that are coming from way other lifetimes, and you'll be like, what's this, and where's this coming from, with the awareness of each aspect, you can actually shift things much more easily and much more directly in an aligned way. And when I do believe, like, when it is time to really, really, really bring through your essence, your presence, your service, what you really want to bring here, at least in my case, bringing everyone into the center for me was like, it's kind of like go time. It's kind of like, it's like I'm really here to do what I came here to do and be who I came here to be. And I started to realize how important the center was, because when I first experienced like Father God, like there's a Mother God and a Father God, or Holy Father God, or Holy Father Essence. When I first experienced that depth, it was like every aspect was just, doesn't matter how high of a dimension they were in, they are kind of like kids. And everyone, as soon as Father God would come into the room, so to speak, everyone was like standing up straight, like, you're like, oh shit, Dad's here. Like, and like everyone stops mucking around and everyone's like straight to the center. And I realized, and I felt that level of alignment and presence come through. And I was like, okay, there's something to bring things to the center. But yeah, and you'll see in someone's universal stream, if you look at one, I'll put at the top someone's essence, and that's probably also one of the levels which every aspect just sort of listens to. But yeah, this is all stuff at a bit of a later stage. It's not something you jump into when you first begin to.
It's an advanced healing stage for sure. But it helped me understand, and when I'm helping facilitate with people, it helped me understand some of the pieces that I was seeing, because if we did some type of soul retrieval or ancestral genetic healing, and I see this being coming in, thinking that it's in charge of everything, and it was a little confusing to me, because I would be like, well, I don't understand who this is. Well, it turns out it would be the person, from, a whole nother dimension, probably on a whole nother planet, obviously, doing something completely different. And it's like, what are you making me come into line for? Like, what do you need me for? I'm over here doing this. We're doing this. And it's like, no, okay, here's the deal. I'm in charge of the ascension. We need to be over here. It's like, come on, everybody, line up. Let's do this. That's kind of how I felt when I was putting my pieces back together. And I'm like, you're out of here. You're in. It's kind of like, go ride the pine. I'm doing something else.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting as well, because some of them could be holding like your different skill sets or healing abilities or something like this.
Yes.
You could ask, who's my best healer, and I'm saying like they're other beings, but just remember they are just you. So when you're tapping into other people's, it's like when you look at people, their different aspects often are sort of driving the suit, as some would say, and you got to see like who's using the suit. Is it you, or is it a different being, or is it an aspect, and where are they? Are they aligned, or are they controlling you, or are they using other aspects? Like when you see people do really amazing stuff and like mind-blowing gifts, incredible artwork, or incredible, I don't know, types of skills, it's often like a higher part of them, a higher intelligence that has that presence and that has that skill set that is, almost like contracted to give that, to support that skill set or gift in this lifetime. So it's quite interesting how these things work, and it's really like a whole journey of revealing and discovery, because it's all still quite a huge mystery. I by no means understand it completely. Yeah.
It takes, I think, as they say, it takes a village to raise a child. And I feel like it takes all different kinds of facilitating, and all different people that come here with different knowledge and skill sets to be able to put a whole piece together and look at it. There's not any one person that is the end all be all, or any one person, that carries all the mysteries of the world. And, we all come with stories or our own chapters to the entire piece. And that creates the unity, and that creates, just what this oneness is all about, and opening up into the heart. Um, that's how I see it. Um, do you have time for a couple questions on here? There's Amy's asking a question,
Yeah.
and okay, and Cindy wants to know if you're shy. Are you shy, Armand?
I grew up very shy. I probably spent most of my primary years in primary school and high school not really saying much at all. I think it's partially I was more of a quieter mind. I had more of a quieter mind, but I was also insecure and very quiet. But there is a nature of can be quite shy. Yeah, in person, in group. I'm usually more of an observer. Um, but yeah, so it's really cool to, I suppose, share what's deeper inside of me here.
Yep, I think so too. It helps us overcome things. Amy has a bit of a long question. So she says, has Armand noticed the soullessness that took place at the end of 2020, which has been difficult to see and understand, watching people get taken over and evicted? This has been the weird thing I haven't wrapped my brain around. We've seen this in leaders, teachers, but with the jabs, um, I saw it was the Godhead I saw I saw it as the Godhead intervening, as if the RNA shots seem like nuclear war. Seem, it must be seem like nuclear war. Did that make sense? Basically, with
Yeah.
what's happening in choices. Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen. Um, yeah, it has been. Uh, yeah, disturbing, also fascinating, but also just like what is going on here in terms of observing the energetics around people that have gotten the jab. And what I've observed in clients is I would see usually when someone has taken the COVID jabs, they usually would have anywhere between 6 to 8 negative contracts that were somehow been put into them. And so then that leads to different things like seeing what some of us know as the soul matrix or soul layers being extracted, and it's been extracted in some cases by greys, insectoids and mantid beings. I've seen, and then when it is so it's extracted and then it is replaced. Usually, actually, everyone I've seen have all had the same thing. So it gets replaced with some AI red wave AI wheel thing, and lots of false AI, artificial intelligence stuff, and that sort of they all seem to emit some AI frequency. I used to love going to certain public events and before, and since all this stuff started to happen, like I would see like a lot, the energy is completely different, and there's a lot more people that, I try to feel their heart, and their heart is like, it's just very much closed off. Like it was like, oh, and like, where did your part of your heart go? It's missing. And then it was bizarre, and the energy had dropped, and I was like, whoa, okay. So yeah, also there's like a whole bunch of other things that yeah, just around AI and red wave stuff, and yeah, and also when I do help someone get their soul matrix back, their soul layers back, it seems to come back with some black magic, and yeah, but it energetically, you can get everything back and have stuff shifted. The physical stuff is concerning though. So yeah, I have seen this stuff in people, and yeah, it's yeah, I feel the pain, which many other people,
Have been.
I'm sure, who've noticed and felt this stuff.
Thank you for that. Well, my goodness. Normally I try to keep us at about an hour. I appreciate you going over a little bit. Yeah, it is so complex. There's a lot. There's a lot to it. I'm with you on this. Like the soul is like repairable. We have a lot of help there, but the physical is going to be the challenge. And so, yeah, my goodness. But I could talk to you for literally for hours. We could just keep talking and talking, and I just want to share just that I love you, and I'm so grateful for you being here, and I love your partner as well. She's amazing. You guys are amazing, and thank you for all the work that you do for humanity. Look, I'm getting emotional. Like I love you guys so much. No.
uh,
Just I'm so grateful for the work that you do, the architecture that you're building, and just the love you have for here. And thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing up, my friend.
oh, thank you, Chastity. Yeah, I love you too. Jackie loves you as well, and I'm so honored to even come across you and to meet you, at least online. And your energy and your presence is like you're like what I call as a homie, and we're just going at it on this planet at the same time. So I'm really happy that you're here, and yeah, super stoked to know you. Thank you.
We got shit to do, so let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll chat with you soon. Thank you so much, and I hope that we can do this again. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be fun.
all right,
All right.
much love to you. Give
Thank
my
you.
love to Jackie.
I will. I will.